Welcome to the Honest Hour. I'm your host, Luis Acevedo, the founder of MOT Media and the co-host of MOT Today, which airs every Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the Honest Hour airs Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Saturdays, you cannot forget about MOT Sports coming at you guys every day at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we got a really, really good show for you guys today. There's a lot to cover, a lot going on in the news. I'm sure some of you guys have heard about the shootings that have taken place in Pennsylvania and Oklahoma. Haven't done much research into those, but I have a strong feeling they are all going to be weaponized to try and de-arm the population, get that narrative going. We already see what happened in Canada. If you do not recall, the Prime Minister Trudeau banned the sale of handguns and limited the magazine amount to 5 bullets in one magazine. And so the attempt is to obviously get America to do the same. There's a lot of people who do not believe America will cave to that. I am one of those people. I think that the country's principles are too strongly rooted when it comes to the Second Amendment, and it's going to be extremely difficult to get the firearms away from good patriotic people. We got a question here. What's your stance on the Army given it sounds crazy, but you might be telling the truth. Dolphins, guns to fight in Ukraine. I think they did weaponize dolphins or use dolphins in Russia for spying purposes. But I think that you're kind of messing with me here, but let me see. Like right here, there's a article, Putin deploys top secret attack, dolphins in war on Ukraine. So I don't know. It says Ukraine military dolphins captured by Russia. I don't know. I don't know if what you're saying is true. Or you're being sarcastic here, but there definitely is prior events where dolphins were equipped. So let's see here. It says the government has no intention of banning guns. Dems are putting on a show for votes. It could be that, but they definitely could be attempting to add some restrictions to the firearms. I think that it is definitely a play in their playbook, because if you can disarm the population, well, then it's going to be a lot easier to control them. But you may not even need to do that, because people are very easily controlled today already, simply by the garbage food that they eat. And I'm looking over at my wife right now. I'm in the same room as her right now as I'm recording, and she's pregnant. So, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. She's eating a little bad right now. It's all good. I ate pretty bad earlier too, so it's all good. What do you think Jesus' favorite gun was? I'm guessing his favorite gun was the nail gun. That's a good one. That's a really good one. I like that. I like that. I'm going to have to take that from you, poem_2 self. That's awesome. I like that. A MAGA guy. Hey, man, McNuggets are great. Yeah, I used to like McNuggets as well, but I found out there's a bunch of microplastics in them because of a TikTok video, actually. And will do, man. Will do. Thanks for the good joke. It's good to keep it lighthearted, because we're going to cover some pretty dark stuff, but I'm very optimistic about the future. That's what we try to bring at this show, is something totally different than what you'll get the sweaty meatball Alex Jones talking about, saying they're coming for your guns. We don't want, I don't believe in that nonsense. Anyway, but we are very aware of what's going on in the world. We're very aware that the small hats run the show as far as the financial level goes. We're very aware of all this stuff, guys. We get it. We get it. But we're very optimistic here. We're building a strong, optimistic community. That's the goal here. But anyway, back to McNuggets really quickly. Dude, look under a microscope with a McNugget. There's a bunch of nasty plastics in there. I don't think that you would ever eat a McNugget again if you saw that. But I don't know. I eat like junk sometimes. Like today I had fast break bars. So, hey, it's not good. It's not a good thing. But anyway, getting back to the news, enough about my diet because it's not the greatest. I try to eat good, but anyway, that's a whole nother topic. All right. So, yeah, I mean, they're trying to soften us up to take away our guns, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they're going to keep trying the same old tactic. Be surprised what goes in. Yeah. They're going to keep trying the same old tactic over and over again. It's already been proven. I thought about this earlier because a lot of these shootings took place are inspired by Columbine, right? And do you know the weapon that they use in Columbine is the most famous school shooting there is? The weapon that was used in Columbine, so I heard today, was an AR-15. And a lot of people seem to think that that was a false flag event as well. And it was sort of the catalyst for all the other mass shootings. It created a bunch of copycats. And what's the gun that they've been coming after? AR-15s. So I'm wondering if that story, that event, planted the seed for people to want to get rid of their AR-15s. I don't know. It's just something I thought about earlier today. Because if you look at it statistically, I think more people are killed with handguns than AR-15s. So it would be more logical then to take away the handguns. Although it's not even logical, because if somebody wants to hurt you, they'll find a way to hurt you. And it makes more sense to be able to have a weapon to defend yourself than not have a weapon and not be able to defend yourself properly in certain circumstances. Don't get me wrong, you can defend yourself with your hands, you can defend yourself in a multitude of ways, but having a weapon is very necessary, a firearm, that is. I mean, think about the ranchers, think about the people that are out in the wilderness in Canada and they have to have a handgun as opposed to a rifle. Is it now illegal for them to hold that handgun if they encounter a wolf, if they encounter a bear, if they encountered a freaking moose or anything like that that can cause them great harm? Is there? I don't know. What's your stance on all the presidents being related somehow? All right. Yeah, I see that. I'll let you in 1 second because we do let people in here. So let's see here. What's your stance on all? I don't know. I don't pay attention to that stuff. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not true. I've heard of that before. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that stuff. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I mean, how are you going to prove it? You're going to ask Barack Obama for a strain of his hair and then George Bush for a strain of his hair? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know. Maybe it does make sense. I don't know. I just don't think it's important. But all right, YouTube _ my spore wants to be accepted in here. So let's see here.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Honestly, I have no preference on the topic. I don't want to debate or anything. I just want to tell you a story about how easy it is to get a firearm, an assault rifle for that matter, or assault weapon, whatever you want to call it. So back when I was 18, quite a few years ago, in the Call of Duty games, I used to always really like AK-47s. And now, when I turned 18, I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go get me one. So I walked into Cabela's, bought an AK-47, walked out with it in less than 2 hours after passing a background check.
Okay.
So that's just, everybody's, always saying, it's easy to get it or hard to get it or whatever. I think that's, fairly easy if you ask me. So
it is fairly easy.
I'm really surprised they don't have a waiting period for those, but they do for pistols and shotguns, I think, which is very strange.
No, there isn't a waiting period as far as I'm aware when it comes to a shotgun. And the only waiting period I'm aware of for a handgun is there's a age limit. Like the age limit is much higher for a handgun than it is for any kind of rifle or shotgun.
Yeah, it's 21.
Yep,
yeah.
Correct. So I don't know if there is an extended waiting period, but I don't see any issue with it being easy to acquire a firearm. I don't see any issue with that. I know that you just wanted to share a story about it. I mean, yeah, I've bought firearms before. They're pretty easy to get. You can go through a private dealer and not go through any of that mess.
Right.
And get the gun if you wanted to legally as well. So, and I think that it's a good thing. Because there's a lot of individuals who will acquire the weapon illegally regardless. And
Right.
so, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but there definitely should be, I think that people should know how to fire a firearm before they get one. But I
Right.
think most people who are going to buy a firearm know how to use the firearm or intending on learning to
Right.
learn how to shoot the weapon. And that's also a good question that's in here. Kevin Roberts, 208. What is an assault rifle? Exactly. I mean, there is no clear definition on that. That's one of the things that they keep changing. What an assault rifle is. I'm not
That's why I always
necessarily
have to be
questioning
very
you.
careful when I use my terminology: assault rifle, assault weapon, whatever the hell you want to call
Right.
it. You know
Right.
what
Yep.
basically the person knows what I mean.
Yep. 100%. So, was there anything else that you wanted to say on this
No,
particular
honestly,
topic?
like I said, I
Okay.
didn't want to debate or anything. I just, I always love telling people my story. I was like, man, you young buck at 18. I walked in, walked out. I had me an AK. It was like, I was like the coolest guy, and I went out and shot it with my cousin and stuff the same day. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
So,
Nice. Do you still have it?
yes, I still have it. One of the weird things is, I've over the years I've collected a few firearms, but I guess I'm not as big of a firearms person as a lot of people are, because I've got a couple. I've maybe shot them maybe a couple times, but they mostly just sit in the safe. That's it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, a lot of my guns pretty much just sit there too. I grew up in the country. I grew up shooting guns and all that, so I love guns. I'm not a big gun fanatic or anything. I couldn't tell you like all the variations of guns, the modifications, or anything. But yeah, I think that's how most people's guns are too. A lot of them probably just sit there, especially they don't want to spend the money on the ammunition either.
Yeah, I think I like it same way with you. I mean, I haven't been to it in quite a while, so it's like I don't keep up with everything that's going on anymore with them. So I know there's better ones than ever before, but it's like, and I stopped doing that shit years ago.
Right. I hear you, man. Well, thanks very much for coming on the show, man, and telling me your story. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet, bro. Have an amazing night and amazing rest of your week. Bye.
Thank you. You too. Yep. All right. So that was a cool story. We got another comment here. Kevin Roberts, 208. I am a liberal. Have been for 40 years. Most people in my party need to stop talking about guns. Cool. I mean, most people in general don't know much about guns, it seems. But definitely the liberals, I would say. I can't say most people. That's an incorrect statement on my part. But definitely, well, I actually heard today. I don't know how true it is. I haven't done research to verify it, but I have heard today that there are a growing number of leftist liberals that are acquiring firearms right now and are becoming disillusioned to the argument of gun control. So that's a pretty good thing. I don't know how true it is. I haven't looked into the statistics, but that is what I heard today. So hopefully it's true. Who knows? They know nothing about guns or why they are important. I agree. And you know what? There's a good reason, there's a good argument to defend them. And I will present that to you right now. A lot of people who are liberal are typically in urban areas. And in urban areas is a totally different mindset and a totally different world than in rural areas. In rural areas, people understand the necessity of a firearm, whether it be to protect your dog from a freaking coyote, to protect your food from deer or foxes or a bunch of other things, right? Or your livestock, right? Chickens, whatever. So people in rural areas understand the importance of a firearm. People in the urban area, they are completely dependent on the police state to protect them. And you don't know a lot of people, and you don't want somebody that is crazy when you're. I was driving in Cleveland the other day, saw a homeless person just sleeping in the middle of a doorway, right? So it's like, you just like you get this uncomfortable feeling that anybody can be carrying a piece when you're walking in a bigger area, and you have a lot more opportunities for chaos. And I can get why urban dwellers are fearful of guns, because first off, most people who are fearful of guns never shot a gun in their life. And secondly, when you're living in an environment that's chaotic and very disorderly, it does make sense that you would want more gun control in that area. So I do understand why liberals, which are typically in urban areas, are more so for gun control. It does make sense, but they're just two different worlds, right? There's just two different worlds. And obviously, the truth is that guns are neither good or bad, but they are a tool, and it's a very useful tool. And sales are skyrocketing over 418% when Biden was elected. Incredible. Incredible if that's true. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's incredible. And I think that everybody should know how to, shoot a firearm, because it is a basic self-defense it's just a basic tool of self-defense. You can learn how to box, you can learn how to wrestle, you can do jiu-jitsu, whatever it is, as far as hand-to-hand combat, which is very important as well. But I think it's important to know how to load a gun and shoot a gun as well too. God forbid you ever have to use it for any purposes of self-defense. Hopefully nobody here ever has to do that, but it is a good thing to know. Gun safety should be taught to every child. We used to do that. I completely agree with that. I completely agree that gun safety should be taught to every child. I think every responsible parent will teach their child about gun safety, because it's a part of our culture, it's a part of our life, and I think that these events that we're seeing here are going to keep popping up. Whatever side of the fence you are on regarding these events doesn't really matter. But if nothing else, it's to show you the importance of being able to carry a firearm, right? Whether you think these events are all false flags, completely staged and fake, or you think that these events are real, it just gives you an incentive, regardless, to you learn how to use a firearm and know why firearms are a part of our culture. Very important part of our culture. You know, without them, we would be much easier to control. Not that we aren't already easy enough to control. I mean, we just look at what happened during the whole cough and sniffles debacle that we've talked about many times on here. Because boom, yeah, boom, boom, Justin from YouTube. That is, I believe, yeah, yeah. What's going on, man? What's going on? Hope things are treating you well at the good old shop. So there's something else here, switching gears a little bit, because I found this article pretty interesting as well. This news. So Texas proposed a bill that was shot down by the Supreme Court. And let's see, the rest school shootings is absolutely terrible, but us honest people should not have to pay for it 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. And that's the bad thing. They demonize the good people. They really do. They really do. Give me a shout out. Woo, nice house. Yeah, thanks. It's not really my house. This is a green screen. Yeah, so this is a green screen that you're seeing here, Justin. People on TikTok, you are actually seeing the ceiling of my house, or the roof, whatever. Not the roof, but the ceiling. So right here, this is the article that I wanted to talk about. Is that from your Hex Money? No, it is not. No, it is not. I love you. Well, I love you too, Justin. I hope that you and your wife are well. I hope the baby is well, if she's delivered already. Congratulations to you, by the way, becoming a father. All right, so this is the article here. Let's jump into it. So it says, Supreme Court temporarily blocks Texas social media moderation law. The Supreme Court of the United States temporarily blocked a sweeping Texas law on Tuesday that restricts the ability of Facebook, Twitter, YouTube to moderate content on their platforms by a 5-4 vote. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me on that, but I think that this was the smart move by the Supreme Court, because they are private companies. And then if you get the government involved in that, then, I mean, what? You're going to not allow private companies to have their own speech? Like, they can't control what is on their platforms and what is not on their platforms? I don't agree with that whatsoever. So I think that was a good move on the Supreme Court to temporarily block it. Although, I guess it is quite complicated, because I've heard, and I try to do a little research before the show, that YouTube and Twitter receive government funding in some way, which would then mean that they're sponsored by the government, therefore they have to uphold the First Amendment. But I have to do a little more digging to verify that. And if that is true, though, I was thinking about this when I heard that piece of information. That means YouTube and Twitter can legally promote propaganda to influence the public opinion because of the Smith-Mudd Act. I know I've been talking about this act a lot lately on the show, but it is something that kind of blew me away. I didn't realize that we legalized that in the United States to intentionally to government fund motion pictures, films, video, audio to shift the public consciousness, to do that domestically. It used to be only allowed on foreign land, but now it is allowed domestically. And so if YouTube and Twitter are government funded agencies, essentially, well, then they can legally lie to you. Let's see here. I heard that today as well. It's a little scary, but been going on in the media. Well, so yeah, that was something pretty interesting. I thought, and I think that that's a good move on the Supreme Court. You know, if the YouTube and Twitter aren't necessarily government funded, but I don't know. It's a very tricky thing. Um, and then in other news here, we got China. We've covered this in a couple TikToks, a couple videos you've probably seen on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So China, their social media and their state-run media is accusing the United States of making the monkeypox virus in a lab. They're coming out and promoting that idea. I thought it was kind of funny because the United States actually funded social media influencers, specifically TikTok influencers, to push out propaganda regarding the the cough and sniffles on TikTok. And now China is doing something similar with the monkeypox virus. And they stated that it would become the next pandemic, and it was by the United States. So I don't think that's the case. I mean, they're going to try, but I ultimately think it's going to be a money grab. It's propaganda to sway public opinion to whatever their agenda is. 100%. 100%. I agree with that. So, they're going to be funding the monkeypox virus like crazy, the same way they're doing with the vid, same way they're doing with Ukraine. I think these are all just ways that they can keep dumping money into the system and keep having excuses to print money and get more debt because they're trying to keep the system from collapsing. That's what I think. Why else would we be giving Ukraine $40 billion? Why are we training militarily with Israel to pretend to attack Iran? Why are we talking in a belligerent fashion in regards to China invading Taiwan? It's all because of money, I think. Now, there's a deeper level. It's spiritual at its most deepest level. But, at layers most people don't really consider, it is financial because our society is run by the financial system. I think they're trying to make it collapse to further globalization. No, I don't think that makes sense. Because if it collapses completely, how will they have control? I think it would be harder for them to retain control if it collapses. I think that it would be easier for them to remain in control if they could find a avenue to transfer the economic system, to evolve the economic system, which is what I believe they're trying to do with the central bank digital currency. Cryptocurrencies, blockchains. Now, I'm not against cryptocurrency or blockchain. I am a big supporter of cryptocurrency. I think there's a lot of wonderful use cases for them, but I think that that's the ultimate goal here, is to sort of let this system kind of die out and then implement this new system, which will be run primarily on digital assets. So I don't think that collapsing the system is going to give them more control. I think that it's going to be harder for them to retain control. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards or trying to say without borders, one currency. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be one currency either. I do think that they want to try and do away with the nation state. You know, that's pretty obvious. It's really obvious, actually, that they're trying to do away with the nation state, which is why they want to come after the guns, which is why they're attempting to give the World Health Organization unilateral power to enact public health crises and pandemics and do economic sanctions, health sanctions on countries who don't listen to them. There's plenty of senators in the United States that are speaking out against that very strongly. It all does tie together. It really does. It's a big spider web. It really is. And, a bunch of African countries are speaking out against this as well for the World Health Organization. But I think that cryptocurrency and digital currencies will allow us to circumvent a lot of what will be created by the beast system, in my opinion. But also, I don't think cash is going to be done away with. I actually think that there's going to be so many kind of currencies out in the world. If you just look at cryptocurrencies right now, there's a whole bunch. It's insane how many cryptocurrencies there are. And if you go back into American history, you'll see that states had their own currencies. And actually, there was a time where people would flee to another state to evade debt collectors. And then debt collectors going to go into the other state and collect the debt. And they would have no debt, essentially jumping over to another state line. So I think that we're going to see a little more diversity in currency because you have a lot of people waking up, a lot of people doing homesteading, a lot of people who are going to return back to their roots and try to do some sort of bartering, go back to gold and silver in some way, shape, or form. But I also think a lot of people are going to be using digital currencies, aka cryptocurrencies, in the near future. That's just the trend that we're seeing right now. Most people did not have computers back when computers first came about. Excuse me. But now everybody has a computer in their pocket. And I think that's going to be the same way with cryptocurrencies. They're going to be good tools of investments and good payment systems as well. But ultimately, you're going to have, I think, a fragmentation of economies. We're already seeing this right now when you look at what China's building in terms of their SWIFT replacement. And I think they have about 10% of the amount of usage that Swift has, and they've only been out since like 2015. And now they're working on building a blockchain that's interoperable that will facilitate transactions that are non-cryptocurrency related, which will then allow for them to use their digital yuan. And so I think that, we're going to see a Vox Day, who I really think everybody should look into, calls it a bifurcation of economies, in which we're witnessing right now. Just look at the ruble. The ruble's doing very well despite all the sanctions. Russian oil is doing very well despite all the sanctions. We have multiple economies being created right now. Foster Bear, hey, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you showing up here and leaving a comment. I really do. Here's another comment from TikTok: fragmentation, but then control of all monetary interactions with crypto type currencies. Yeah, I think that'll kind of be unavoidable, but you will still have cash, I think, because if you don't have cash, you are at a great national security threat. Like there's just too much risk on a national security level without cash. That's what I think. Like, what happens if there are cyber attacks that wipe out a certain area of the country? Well, then that certain area of the digitally, they wipe it out digitally. Well, then that country's economy is effectively useless if they don't have cash still. So I think that the amount of cash that you'll be able to use will be greatly limited, sort of like what's taking place in Australia at the moment, where you can only have about 10,000 Australian dollars out, I believe. You can do some research into that, or maybe that's the amount that you can spend in cash. Anything over that has to be in debit, credit, something like that. So I think that that's what we'll be seeing. So there still will be ways to get around it. It'll just be more difficult. I definitely think more people are going to be using silver and gold as a medium of exchange. A lot of people are waking up to that. And, everybody is very, not everybody, but a lot of people in the truth community are very, very critical of cryptocurrency, when cryptocurrency is the reason why so many young people now understand the financial system. I only learned about how bad we were financially because I learned about Bitcoin. Because when you learn about Bitcoin, you learn about the history of gold, you learn about the history of money, that we used to trade in seashells and rocks. And then you progress, right? Because they give you this evolution of money. And then, obviously in the crypto narrative, Bitcoin is the best money there is, which I totally disagree with. Bitcoin is a good piece of technology. It was an innovative piece of technology, but it is definitely a shitcoin. But true, that's why crypto stuff is kind of scary and not truly tangible. Yeah, it's not. I mean, yeah, it's not really tangible, but there's good technology to it. I mean, it allows you to transfer large sums of money in seconds, and you don't need to deal with the bank. You can do it all decentralized if you really want to get very autistic about it. I've been in cryptocurrency since 2016, and I don't use any centralized exchanges. All of it's on my own. So essentially, I'm my own bank when it comes to crypto. So but it is intangible. I agree with you there. Thoughts on XRP? Garbage. Garbage. I used to be part of the XRP army, but it's garbage, man. Nobody uses it. They gave a bunch of the XRP to banks, and none of the banks used it. The banks dumped it. So, they have false narratives. They're lying. That's a lot of crypto, too. Yeah, but you said if the power goes out, where's your crypto? Anything. Exactly. No, you're right. You're right. So I understand that there's a risk going in crypto. I understand that completely. But I think that the odds of power going out, grid out events are very low. There's a possibility, obviously. And even if there is a power outage, there are ways to send cryptocurrency. It's a little more intense and technical, and most people won't do it. So it wouldn't really be effective, as far as a medium of exchange. But there are definitely ways that you can transfer cryptocurrency without the internet, without anything like that. But it would just be more practical at that point to have cash, right, or gold or silver. One EMP will shut down most of the grid in our country and other countries. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's what they say. I don't really know much about EMPs except for the fact that what you just said. I don't even know if they're real. Maybe they're real. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. But I'm not really concerned about that kind of stuff. I think a lot of that stuff just feeds into the fear porn and those who really like thinking about apocalyptic events, which, hey, I'm susceptible to. I have a soft spot for apocalyptic events. I've always been into like zombies and things of that nature, but I don't know. I think a lot of that's just myth. A lot of that's just fairy tales to get men excited that they will have some purpose in their lives because they're caught up in cubicles all day. I hope you're right about that. I do too. I think I am right about it, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm really not too concerned about it. I really think that these apocalyptic events are to, in some way, give men a sense of false purpose, because a lot of men have meaningless jobs and they're not really men. A lot of men are castrated these days. So that's what I think apocalyptic events in the media are used for, like the EMP. It's definitely, a possibility that grids can go out, food shortages can take place, all these things. I mean, we're already kind of seeing food shortages, but I don't really know that anybody's going to starve. Maybe people will starve, maybe not here though in the United States. Maybe it'll be more so like a lack of nutrition, like you'll be malnourished, but you'll still be able to get something in your mouth, something in your belly. I mean, hell, after all, that's how bread, vegetables, and all that stuff came to be, right? It's because they were developed in times of starvation. People were very, very desperate, and then they started to eat things that they normally wouldn't eat just to survive. So, you know, there's things that I think people should be preparing for. Like I'm very big into localizing supply chains, the best that you can, the best of your ability, whether that be helping out local farmers, becoming a farmer, becoming a homesteader. If that's not your thing, getting into like some trades. And here's something that I don't hear many people talk about. Let me see what this topic is real quick. I don't think it has to do with people having meaningless jobs. It just knocks all communication out. No, I agree with you. So maybe I didn't explain that correctly. What I'm saying is, I feel that people are very fearful of these apocalyptic events and they're being pushed down our throats, right? They're being pushed down our throats continuously in the media. And I think that the reason why it sells so well is because a lot of men specifically don't have meaning in their life. And then these apocalyptic events, they play them out in their head, how they would handle it, what they would do, how they would be such a badass in this situation, etc., because of their meaningless jobs, because of their lack of purpose in life. I think that that's why they sell so well. Not that they don't happen, they definitely happen. But I don't think that I think they sell so well because of that. That's what I was getting at. Now, I forgot where I was going before that, which, oh, that's right, trades. So I was talking about trades. So a trade that most people don't really consider a trade is sales. I think sales is equally as important as being able to fix something in somebody's house, because you need to be able to first off sell that you can do the job, sell who you are, like, hey, this is me, I'm capable of doing this work. So I think sales is an important trade that most people overlook. I was in my opinion duped into believing that sales isn't a trade. And because of that, I went into something that did not fit who I am. I'm not very mechanically inclined. And so I became a mechanic for roughly, well, in the automotive industry for roughly 10 years, in and out, doing everything from turning a wrench to writing people up to doing claim adjusting on extended warranties. So I've been in the automotive, selling parts, all this stuff. But turning a wrench wasn't really for me. I can fix some stuff on the car, but it wasn't. It just took me long. I'm not a mechanically inclined person. It's just not who I am. I have the gift of gab. People say that know me well, and I'm better suited in a position where I can sell, market. And I think that those are trades that often get overlooked because you've always had a merchant class, you've always had your artisans. These are things that a society with a functional economy have always had. So I just wanted to throw that out there because there may be somebody out there like me who's like, I get trades are important. I'm not very mechanically inclined. I'm not against learning how to build things, fix things. I encourage everybody to know how to do that stuff. But play to your strengths. Play to your strengths. Don't think that you have to try and become mechanically inclined if that isn't your strength, if that's a weak point. Not saying that you shouldn't learn how to turn a wrench and change your brakes or fix a door, something like that, right? Build a raised bed garden. Not saying you shouldn't do those things if you're not mechanically inclined. You should. You should learn how to become more self-sufficient. But play to your strengths. Play to your strengths. That's super important. So let's talk about this last couple things here, the last two topics that I wanted to go over today. This is, it sounds, this is actually something that I've been talking about for quite some time. And people have given me crazy looks for talking about this. I'm not sure if anybody here has ever played like Sims. You can have a family in it, things like that, right? So I've thought for a while now, if you're living in a virtual world, in virtual reality, and you end up having a family in virtual reality, would it not be possible for you then to procreate in virtual reality? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. At least that's what they want you to think. So there's an article here titled AI Expert Says Parents Will choose digital babies in the metaverse over our over real ones within 50 years. So it continues, goes on saying, an expert on artificial intelligence says that within 50 years, parents will opt to have digital offspring that only exist in the metaverse due to concerns over environment and overpopulation, which the environment, total nonsense. Yes, I used to love playing Sims. Yeah, yeah. I love I used to love Sims too when I was a kid. Keep the gravy. Yeah, we'll do. We'll do. So, uh, let's see, where was I at? The prediction was made by however the hell you pronounce her first name, Campbell, who is described as one of the UK's leading authorities on artificial intelligence. According to Campbell, parents will decide to have digital babies, an updated version of Japanese Tamagotchi's digital pet toys, for the same reason they're already choosing not to have real babies, namely concerns about the environment, overpopulation, the rising cost of bringing up a child, etc., etc., etc. Get another comment here. Well, that solves the abortion problem. Yeah, yeah, it does. I mean, that's something that they actually talk about in the article. If you continue, it would solve the abortion problem. You wouldn't really have to debate that issue anymore. But yeah, it's so I think really people will do this in the future. I don't see how they wouldn't. I mean, people right now, I think in a way, we've been kind of slowly programmed, whether it's conscious or subconscious, by the rulers to go down this path by calling our pets our children. Right? We've already started to like humanize animals in such a way where you can't really have a strong connection with an animal the same way you can as a human. And now people are really connecting with their video game characters, their avatars. And so I think that there's been this like slow progression of building, like, I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I feel like there's a slow progression into making human connection with inanimate objects, things that just aren't real. And I think that digital, like, another thing here that I've been really thinking about is you're going to have the idea of digital babies seems terrifying, right? But I think that I understand how they would be able to do it. I could be wrong. Um, think about all the data that they're collecting right now, right? From what I'm doing here on TikTok, on YouTube, all this stuff. They're collecting all this data, the facial recognition, my speech patterns, the tonality, body language, the words I'm using, all this stuff, right? And it's only going to get more and more invasive as far as the data that they're extracting, especially when it comes to virtual reality. I do have a virtual reality headset myself. I've only used it, I think, twice. But anyway, so the more immersive virtual reality comes, the more data that they're going to collect from that virtual reality. They're already talking about the fact that they are tracking your eye movement and collecting the data of your eye movement, and a bunch of other stuff, especially when you get haptic suits. Especially when you get haptic suits, right? And you get physical feedback in that virtual reality world. They're gonna pick up on your data as far as your senses go. Maybe not like the actual emotion, but they'll know exactly what's triggering that emotion, the data of that emotion, and then they'll be able to eventually, from all this data that they're collecting, make you a digital baby from that data with somebody else that you would like to merge data together with the same way that you would do naturally. And I think that this is how they're going to, quote unquote, upload consciousness. Because I don't think that you can upload consciousness. I think that that's absolutely insane. Because that's the ultimate transhumanist goal, right? Is to upload our consciousness, our minds into a robot, a silicon machine, and it'll live on forever. But I think what's really going to happen is a true ghost in the machine scenario where all this data that they've collected on you for so long, they'll be able to make a functional artificial intelligence that is you, but it's not you. So it has all your memories, it has all your, the way that you would react to a certain situation, but you'll be like this goat. It'll be a ghost, essentially. It'll be like a soulless machine that just has your data. It doesn't actually have you. That's what I think is going to happen. It's like the show Upload. I've never watched the show, and I don't think that you can upload consciousness. I don't think that that's possible. I don't think that it's possible because I don't think consciousness comes from I think it comes from elsewhere. There was another comment here. It also solves the school shootings. You may be onto something. Yeah, I've also said that VR may be a really good prison for, for rapists, people who abuse children. Um, there's a lot of things that virtual reality, I think, could help. I think that virtual reality isn't bad, and I don't think that the digital babies. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just like you're going to be playing Sims in virtual reality, is what it is. And I actually have a totally different take on virtual reality than a lot of people. I think that virtual reality will make people more spiritual. I think it'll help people wake up a lot. The reason I say that is because it will give you a sense of being a creator, right? Because you can build worlds in VR. And you're doing this through an avatar that you're not really the avatar, but you're in first person and it's very immersive. So think of it like your higher self, if you will, or your soul that's distinct from your ego, right? The I am, your physical body, right? So although that they do work together, they are, they work together. Anyway, VR allows people, I think, to see the connection to their creator in a way that it's harder for some people to realize in the natural world. So I think that a lot of people will be woken up, like will wake up because of VR. Like, because like I've already mentioned, you will then have to you know, you'd be able to create your own worlds. You'd be able to do things that you wouldn't really do in the real world. And then you'd be questioning, are those like, think of Westworld, if you guys have ever watched Westworld, right? Where you enter into this video game essentially as a real person, like you are who you are, and you can do anything you want in that game because they're just artificial intelligent robots made of silicon or silicone. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. And you can do whatever you want with no repercussions. And so it really makes you think. I think it is ID over ego, id over ego. Yeah, something. I mean, that's Freud, right? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how much of Freud's stuff is believable, but the ego is definitely a thing. But anyway, like in Westworld, right? You then have to question morality from a different standpoint, and you're just viewing the world completely differently through virtual reality. You are then confronted with things that are hard for some people to see in the natural world. So I think that VR will be a blessing in disguise for most people. It will definitely act as a form of enslavement for a lot of people. And arguably, there's an argument that we're kind of living in a virtual reality right now. Um, some people, I don't know. That's a whole nother level that I don't really feel like going down. Um, but yeah, so digital babies, be on the lookout for that. And then also, a lot of people unaware of this, but they've been working on this for a while. They're called synthetic wombs. So they've already did this with, I think, animals, and now they're trying to do this with humans. Pulling up the article right now. I'll share it with everybody on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. You guys are just going to have to listen to me. So this is from the BBC. It says the world's first artificial womb for humans. Scientists in the Netherlands say that within 10 years of developing an artificial womb that could save lives of premature babies. So this is how they're going to introduce it, just like they introduce all these other things, right? Like, oh, hey, there's this good medical application, just like the whole Neuralink thing. yeah, hook up your brain to this computer because we'll solve a lot of neurological disorders. But on the back end, we will be eventually telling you what to think and what you can't think. And so eventually, with these artificial wombs, you're going to be seeing women and men just having test tube babies through in vitro. And there's been a lot of research done on in vitro babies, and they're actually at a great disadvantage towards compared to naturally conceived children because you know we all know how children are made. Well, the strongest sperm cell and the best egg cell are the ones that meet up. But with in vitro, you can't tell which ones are going to carry on the best genes, the strongest genes, all that stuff. Uh, then we'll be deciding whether we should take this red pill or blue pill. Right, right. Well, there's a Owen Benjamin. He has a good joke on that. He says that you should not take any pills from a black guy in a trench coat. I tend to agree with that because it's definitely not binary. But yeah, I get where you're going. I get where you're going with it. Yeah, and I don't think that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's already people like the Human Obsolescence Institute. I'm sorry. That's hilarious. Great advice. Yeah, yeah. It's not my joke. It's not my joke. Owen Benjamin, look him up. Uh, Great comedian. He's the one who said it. But what was I just saying? Yeah, so we might be heading to something like that. Like there's this institute called the Human Obsolescence Institute. I'll pull it up. I've shared it before on the stream. I've actually tried to get the guy on my podcast that runs it. So basically, what this institute does, it's pretty dystopian. I won't lie. But let's see here. I'm pulling it up right now. Bear with me here. I know I keep moving the camera on TikTok because I have to set you in front of my laptop and I need to read off my laptop. I can't find a way to hook it up to StreamYard or anything. So, right here, employing humans to perform biological labor. So, it says the Institute of Human Obsolescence. Machines are ousting us as it happens some time ago to horses after the invention of the steam engine. Humans are becoming obsolete to perform mechanical labor. Soon, with the advance of artificial intelligence, it will also affect our possibilities to be useful workers performing intellectual labor. It says the Institute of Human Obsolescence explores this scenario and tries to ask the questions how to reposition the role of humans in society. And so their solution to this is this right here. So they want to use the body heat that humans create to generate power, to generate electricity. So they want to hook you up to machines and generate electricity. The benefit of it is you'll get rewarded in cryptocurrency. There we go, talking about cryptocurrency again. There's definitely a dystopian negative side of cryptocurrency. See what I'm saying? Back to the Matrix. I know that's why I brought it up because of what you mentioned, Tony. That's exactly why I brought it up. And so health workers have to lay down and do nothing. So I'll flip this over so you guys in TikTok can see it as well. But you can look it up yourself. It is a Human Obsolescence Institute. So these are the cryptocurrencies that you will be paid in. And then these are the suits that they hook you up in. And then basically you just scroll through your Twitter feed, your Facebook feed, any kind of social media, anything on the internet, and you get paid for it. Because the guy who's behind this is saying that we're experiencing digital colonialization. And he's not necessarily wrong. I mean, right now you're paying all these corporations. I mean, these corporations are basically taking your data at no charge and then making money from your data. And so basically what they're trying to do with this is say, hey, we can make it so you're paid for giving up your data. So there's some good in that. So like right here, data basic income. Instead of questioning what the value of the data produced is, we explore the proposition of giving everyone the same monthly flat rate in exchange for the data produced, independently of categories like gender, nationality, or class. What are they going to do with the 52 genders though? Like, that's going to be kind of hard, right? And then what about no nationalities? What if there's no national? What if, guys, we live in this global society with no races, no nothing. What do they do then? How are they going to distribute that? I don't know. But yeah, so then the right here aim to right. I mean, yeah, and then that goes into what I was saying. The data workers union, the data worker union aims to shift the imbalance between the ownership, control, and profit of data produced by the workers. I think that's where we started out at the beginning of the conversation. Yeah. So this is kind of where we seem to be heading. Um, I don't know how well it'll work out. We'll see. Tito, thanks for the ice cream cone, the wishing bottle. Is that, I don't know, is that a toilet that you sent me on TikTok? I don't know what the hell that is, but thank you very much. Thank you very much. Um, yeah, and then this is the last thing that I just wanted to bring up. Good incentive to homeschool your children because public school system is just getting crazier and crazier by the day. Let's pull it up here. It's pretty wild. So, Australian primary school sees microchip in students' brains in 10 years. An Australian primary school predicted microchips in student brains within 10 years before subsequently deleting the newsletter that contained the creepy prophecy. And so down here is where it included the prophecy. So it's 10 years. We imagine education, Preston West Primary will have more building and development, technological advances for teachers and students, far more learning will be on the screen, which we already know that the World Economic Forum has said that, hey, your children need to be hooked up to virtual reality headsets to save the environment and learn in VR. And as we've talked about in a prior episode, children should not be in virtual reality because people experience who are in virtual reality for long periods of time, like depersonalization, right? So they start disconnecting from who they are. They start like losing their minds essentially. And there was a study done in Stanford where they had children, young children, put on VR goggles and do things in the VR world. And 50% of them came back and said that whatever happened in the virtual reality, they thought was real reality. They thought it was real. So it's very, very bad for children to be in virtual reality. We don't really know the effects of it on humans, although I think adults, children and humans are two different things. They're not. Oh my God. Oh, what have I become? Anyway, yeah, children and adults don't really know the effects on that. They basically lose their humanity. That's what's going on in the big picture. Yeah, it is. And we've been losing our humanity for a long time. You know, apathy is the plague of the nation, it appears. So, yeah, you're a smart guy. Just had epiphany. Thank you. Thank you. You seem pretty smart too, Tony. Look at that. A cowboy hat. I like it. And a mustache. Nelson, you the man. Tito, you the man. All right, so yeah, microchips in brain and students' brains to promote intelligence and memory, and then more on mental health. Thank you, my friend. I really enjoy listening to you. Well, I'm glad you enjoy listening. Consider following. You know, I'm here every Monday, every weekday, Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, so yeah, they want to put a microchip inside your child's brain. Neuralink is already doing this. There's another company that's actually further ahead. Like there was a individual who was able to send the first tweet with their mind through this device that they implanted in their brain. You can look it up. I can't remember exactly what the company's called, but I think the founder of the company is like Theo something. He's a neuroscientist. Anyway, that's kind of where we're heading. I mean, it's real. It's not anything to be afraid of. There's going to be benefits of this technology. If they could put one in Biden, said maybe he could figure out who is right. Well, there is a conspiracy theory out there. I haven't delved into it too much. That he actually has a Neuralink implant. Don't know how true it is. Don't know how true it is. Maybe it's not true at all. Maybe it's fake news. But there is a theory that's been floated around now for about a year or two that he actually has a Neuralink implant. Yeah, it's who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I mean, there's going to definitely be benefits with this technology. It's nothing to be afraid of. Technology is neither good or evil. I feel like that's something that a lot of people in the truth community get confused with a lot. Is if there's technology that can be used for nefarious purposes, they then become very skeptical of it and then criticize it, demonize it, which it could be. It could be. It could definitely be used that way. But I do think that there are uh, benefits to it. I mean, like for instance, like what if you know my father-in-law? He has some issues. He has seizures, and so like they've talked about potentially doing a trial where they can put an implant in his brain to hopefully counter some of those signals and find those signals before they happen, whatever's triggering the seizures. So, I mean, like that would be a great use case for it if it works. I don't know. And who knows the side effects of it? I don't know. But there are definitely good use cases for those technologies. Anyways, guys, I am about to get out of here. Thank you all for the comments, tuning in tonight, hanging out. Tito, thanks for the mini speaker. You just keep, you just keep giving me stuff, so I appreciate it. Yeah, guys, but I'm gonna get out of here. I will be back here tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then don't forget Saturdays, the MOT Sports. I'm not involved in that. James and Mick, it's all their show, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then on Sundays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got the crown. Thanks. Tune in. MOT Today. MOT Today is where we recap all the things that are going on through the week. And yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So, all right, brother. Hang tough. We'll catch you next time. Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, do a Cash App. $LUISACEVEDO 27. That is $Luis Acevedo 27. If you want to support the show. But yeah, guys, much love. Peace. We'll see you here tomorrow.